So we're gonna start recording. So if any of your friends wants to watch this later, we're gonna send you the link. Okay? Or if any time you need to disconnect, don't worry, it will be recorded and you can watch later on. Okay? But it's gonna be very short and stay till the end so we can discuss and have some questions. So basically, as I said, this is gonna be monthly talks, different topics, and by the end we can have some time to chat and answer all of your questions. So let's get into it. Now we're going to talk about indoor or outdoor training. So what's the differences and which are the advantages and disadvantages of it? So we're going to start by the advantages of training outdoors. So first of all, we have the terrain variability. So the changes in the terrain will help you guys improve your proprioception. What's this? What's the proprioception? It's the ability of you knowing how you place into this space. So knowing how to balance in your bike, knowing how to coordinate when you turn, when you brake, or when you stand up. These are all abilities you can only improve outdoors. So whenever you're going up or down a hill, whenever you're doing some turns, or you're riding with other riders, you're improving this type of capacity, which is very great and involves a lot of coordination between the eyes and your muscles and the reaction times. If you have to brake or sharpen the pedal stroke, if you need to go harder to avoid any situations, these are things that can only be improved outdoors. You're going to have an increased efficiency on different terrains. So you're going to have some biomechanical advantages. For example, when you're going uphill, your muscles place a bit differently in your body and in the saddle or in the position of your bike, and you're going to be able to push more watts just because you're in a different position, which not always you're going to have this position while riding indoors. And as well, remember, power, it's easier to be produced when you have an external force against you. So whenever you're going uphill or against a headwind, it's going to be much easier to produce the watts or the intensity that is needed. You're going to improve your technical capabilities. So what we were talking before, you're going to learn how to descend, how to corner, and how to save energy following the other riders' wheels. With this is a very important aspect there in the UAE. You know, guys, you go really fast in the flat terrain, and if you want to save energy, it's all about hiding well behind the wheels. And you can only achieve this if you ride outdoors and you practice it. You cannot improve this indoors. There's an aspect which we call adaptability to the climate and the humidity. So this is only being able to be trained while you are outside. So as the weather changes, as the day goes on, it will get hotter, maybe more humidity, and as well the aspect of the wind is something you can only get better at when you're riding outside, because indoors you have a controlled environment, a controlled climate, and you will not be able to deal with this. And this is very important if anytime you want to race or get into an event which will be needed. Your body needs to get adapted to different climate changes and to the different humidity stages so that you don't have any problem. And outdoors, you have a natural thermoregulation. What does this means is you have the strong wind because of the speed you're going at, and you have the wind, of course, from natural air, which will cool down yourself as well with your sweat. It will help you cool down, and you cannot get many better fan. I bet there's no fan in the world which can produce 40, 30, 50, 60 kilometer per hour winds, which can cool you down. So this is a natural thermoregulator that it's hard to get indoors. And finally, the entertainment for most people is much more nicer to ride outside. You can discuss about this, but this is most of the people. So this is an advantage of training outdoors. Now, it's not all about not all around the advantages. We also have to take into consideration some stuff so we can do this the best way possible. So first of all, you have to aim for the continuity of the ride. So try not to stop that much or that often during your ride. That will ensure you can follow and improve while you're following a training plan. That way you're going to get better faster, and it's the right way to do it. So don't fall into the trap of going outside and stopping each another lap to rest. You have to select the right terrain. So don't go and climb Jebel Hafid if you have a rest day or an easy ride. Just be aware of the selection of the terrain, depending on the training you have. The pedaling efficiency, you have to watch out for this, because outdoors, depending on the power meters you have, if you can find the power meters which will tell you the difference of the leg balance, you can compare how your power distributes between your both legs, and you can really get good information around this, and your coach can help you improve around this area. Most people have some leg differences, and it's good to be fixed, and you will only find this while you have the power meter outside, because indoors, since the bike is fixed in the same position, and usually you take the recordings from the power of the indoor training itself, you cannot distinguish which leg is the most powerful. As well, we have the nutritional aspects. So check on your nutrition while going outside, especially if you're going for a road, a big road, you're going outdoors. Be sure to take enough food with you so you guys don't struggle. Remember, you have to take around 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. So be sure you do your math correctly, and as well with your hydration, try to aim for one big bottle of hydration per hour. So be sure you take enough food, which is often a mistake. That's maybe one disadvantage of going outdoors, that you have to take all of your food with you. But if we take the right considerations and we plan ahead, it won't be a problem. As well, if you have questions, we can discuss about this at the end, or you can ask your coach on how to take your nutrition the best way while going outside. As well, be sure to check on your bike maintenance. We don't want any crashes. So be sure to have your brakes okay, your gears well placed, so the gears don't jump. If you want to sprint, you don't have a crash. And check on your tires. You don't have a puncture, you have the right pressure, and you don't have worn down tires, which will not have good grip. And finally, just good battery on your head unit and your sensors, so that we can record everything, especially if it's a long ride. Be sure you have sufficient energy. Then, comparing to the outdoors, let's compare to the advantages of training indoors, which there are plenty of advantages. So you might consider this as a training tool rather than a boring machine. I know most of you guys don't like training indoors. You find it very boring and like a torture machine, but it's very nice and it will help you a lot. So first of all, time efficiency. It's the best tool for crunched hours. So you're gonna be very efficient with time, since you're always pedaling. You're gonna never be like wheeling or freewheeling in like outdoors whenever you're going downhill or in a group. So you're always going to be pedaling, and the machine will fix you into an intensity rather than you deciding how hard or how easy to go. So you will not be able to fake the workout. Like, you're going to be obliged to follow a certain intensity, and it will make you much more efficient, because we're going to ensure the correct amount of time in each session or in each interval, which is what we need. Um, as well, you're going to save the time of getting the bike into the car, out of the car, going to the to the track and back home. So it's much more efficient with time. Um, so that's a great thing. You won't lose that much time. Second of all, it's perfect for hard climate conditions, which is amazing for you guys there. Now it's gonna get hot, and you're gonna not be able to train outside, or you're gonna go in extreme hours. So this way you can train with air conditioning or with a big fan inside, and don't have to worry of going early morning or late afternoon, even in the evening. You can just do it anytime, or you can do it during the June and July months, August as well, which is very hot. So there's no excuse for training there. We have as well, it's very easy to control the intensity and the execution with the erg mode. So most of the high level indoor trainers let you use the erg mode. This will control the intensity, as I was speaking before, and it will allow you to go at a certain intensity, which is compatible with our workouts. So you don't have to worry. You will just have to click the start button and follow all of the instructions. You don't even have to think about it. So you can watch a movie or whatever, or think about other stuff. It's ideal for beginners because you can learn the basic techniques aspects. So you can learn how to use your clipless pedals, and you can learn how to use your gears before going outside. So this way we're gonna prevent any crashes or any bad moments outside. So this is another advantage of the indoor trainer. And finally, we have It's ideal to fix the biomechanical aspects. So many of you guys pedal in a wrong way, so your heel goes very up or it goes a lot down. This is a problem with your soleus muscle, which we can really fix with the indoor trainer, since you can pedal besides a mirror and you can find yourself looking at the mirror every time. You don't have to worry about a crash, and you can really see how your heel places, and that way with time you will get used to the right pedaling technique, which with the help of the coach, of course, we can fix it, and it will be unconscious when you go outside. So this is a big advantage. You can check as well if you have trouble with your knees going inside, for example, many people do, then you place the mirror at front of you and you can check how your knees go, and you make them go straight all of the time. This way you can keep an eye on all of this technical stuff, which you cannot do outdoors, which is much more difficult and may involve a crash. So as well, some considerations to have indoor while you go indoor. This is very important because most of the people don't pay enough attention for this. You have to have a cooling or ventilation device. So be sure to put your AC as the coolest as possible and place a big fan in front of you. We don't want your body to overheat. Whenever your body temperature increases, your performance will decrease. So you will not be able to perform as well as you do outdoors. So this will be a bit harder, and you will find that as an excuse not to continue indoors. It's just because you feel a lot more heat. So if you take this into consideration, your time will be more joyful and your performance will be much better. uh, be sure to calibrate your indoor trainer. If you have tax indoor trainers, they calibrate itself automatically, so you don't have to worry. If you have any other brands, just check on their app and they will let you know how to calibrate. It's very important because when the temperature varies, especially with the AC, if you have to turn off, turn on, it will change the temperature of the room and it will change the temperature, the measurements from the power of the indoor trainer. So be sure you calibrate almost each time you jump into the indoor trainer. Dehydration, as we spoke before, your body is going to get a bit more heat up and you're going to sweat much more. So be sure to up your hydration maybe a 25% more. So usually you have to take one big bottle per hour. So now let's aim for one bottle and one quarter of a bottle. So you're gonna aim for more hydration while you go indoor because you're gonna sweat much more. And this is also some mistake people find is they think while they are indoor they don't have to hydrate or they don't have to eat. So they will struggle with the intensity, but it's as same as outside, even better or even more because it's harder than going outside because it's harder on your body. Now, just for the safety of your fellows, check where you place the indoor trainer. Be careful with kids and pets. We don't want them to get inside the chain or the gears because this will hurt them a lot, even when you're not riding. So be sure they don't mess around with it. And many people as well, they have a lot of trouble with interference connecting the devices, so be sure you don't have a lot of Bluetooth devices in the same room because they might interfere with the connection or the connectivity between the trainer and the head unit or the computer, iPad, iPhone, whatever. So if you have any trouble with this, just remove all of the other devices which have Bluetooth, and it will help you. Finally, we're going to go into some myths and truths around the indoor trainer and outdoor training. So first one is people say I produce more watts while going outdoors. This is not entirely true. You just produce more watts in the environment you're most used to. So wherever you have more adaptations, you will do the best. So obviously, if you go more outside and indoors, you will feel better outside and you will produce more watts. But when the time comes and you start training indoors, especially if you go in the same bike, because most people change their bikes, one for indoor and one for outdoors, which is not great because your muscles get used to an exact position and they're very sensible to different changes. So you want to train your muscles always in the same position to keep this variable stable and not to interfere. So this is one stuff, but definitely you can produce more watts indoors. For example, myself, I train a lot indoors, so I can produce more watts while being indoors than outdoors. Other people are the opposite way, but this doesn't matter. You just have to find the right training zones for outdoors and indoors. Especially the coach should do two type of tests. They should do a outdoor test and an indoor test, especially now the season coming of summer. If you're going to do a lot of indoor trainer, be sure to check with your coach for the indoor test, so you can have your training zones and you can differentiate between both trainings. Some people also say you cannot do aerobic resistance while being indoors. Sure, you can. It's just a mental game. I have a quick story for you. We have a big rider who is preparing a Giro d'Italia. He races in an European Italian team, and this guy broke his collarbone maybe 4 months ago, and we last year, and we prepared a big race with him while his collarbone was broken, and he did maybe 4 or 5 hour indoor sessions with all of the care, with all of the previously mentioned considerations, and the training is much more efficient, and he even did much better than we thought, and he came to win this race. Maybe he rode outdoors one or twice before the race. He did all the preparation in the indoor trainer, and it was a huge race. It was a pro continental race from the UCI in Europe. So you can definitely do it. As I said, it's the mental game of being in the indoor trainer the sufficient amount of time. But if you are hard with your head and if you're mentally up to it, then there's no issue. And even you can cut down the time a little bit, because if you're gonna do a 4 hour ride outside, then you can take a look, and maybe 3 hours were the most efficient. So you lose 1 hour. So then indoors you can just do 3 hours, and it will be as efficient as 4 hours outside. It's not a rule of thumb. It's different for everyone, but we can calculate for each one of you guys and find the most efficient way. Uh, Many people as well think indoor training is much better for doing the interval training. This is not entirely true. You can do outdoor training as perfectly as indoors. Even we recommend our professional riders to do them outdoors because it's much more similar to what they do normally. But it's as your preference. If you prefer to do it indoors, then we can coordinate with you independently. You know, each training plan is different, so you have to speak with your coach, but don't be afraid of doing outdoor intervals, especially if you have a power meter. People also say the highest end indoor trainers are the only ones which are good. This is not true. All of the indoor trainers are good. You have different type of indoor trainers. If you look for the indoor trainers which you take the wheel off and you place the bike in a headset placed over the indoor trainer, they are the best ones, no matter if they are the high range or middle range. They are very good and they are very accurate. So don't worry about that. You don't have to buy the highest and the most expensive one. You can look around for some 3,000 dirhams, something like this. And finally, people think the more I sweat indoors, it's the better. I want to remind you that sweat is not fat. So the more you sweat, it's not you're burning more fat. And as well, the more you sweat doesn't mean you're going much harder or you're doing much more work. It just means that your body is heating up much more. So take all the considerations before mentioned and you won't sweat that much. Finally, this is how you can change the intensity for your indoor training. So when you select the training in the Swift app, you select our training, and down here, if you see in the right picture, in the right down corner, you can change your FTP. So as mentioned before, be sure to check with your coach you have the right FTP calculated for the indoor trainer, which most of the time is very different than outdoors. And this way you can ensure you have the right intensity for the indoor training. Okay, so this is very, very important stuff. And now this is another question we have a lot, is how to follow the workouts outdoors. You have two options. You can download the workout to your Garmin, as most of you guys do, and you can just follow there. But if you don't want to worry about this, you're stressed about following every time because maybe you're riding outdoors and it's not time to do the intervals because you're with friends or you're going down Hafit, whatever, you just read the description. So you just open the Training Peaks app and you're going to read the description, and this will tell you the main focus of the session, and you don't have to follow the exact structure from the file you download. You just have to go through the description that is placed in the workout. So it will have a main objective, so some repetitions or some intervals, but the rest of the training it will be aerobic resistance. So we just have to go between zone 2 and zone 3. So that way you don't have to stress a lot. It's big range of training zones. So you can play around with it and still ride with your friends while going outdoors and achieve your intervals in the best way possible in any time during this session. So if you anytime have questions with this as well, ask the coach or read the description, which comes very handy. Okay. So basically that was it. Really encourage you guys to use the indoor trainer now that the weather is gonna get very hot, because it's a very good training tool and it's not boring at all. We can make it very fun with the interval training, and you can play a movie or you can play some Netflix there, and it's nice and it's very time efficient. So we can cut down the hours and still have a good training. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here and we can jump into the questions so I can see you guys. If you want to interact or you have any questions, just go down on the chat or just shout out, and Alexis will help you with the microphone.